Hello everyone. In this tutorial we will work through engraving, especially inverse engraving, where we actually remove some of the varnish of that lighter, and so the background, the material, the gold material actually comes through. So the final goal will be to have that preview and an editable document for the user. So let's just start. There is a mode in Printess which is called engraving, which makes it quite easy for you to build such things. So let's add these simple text here on our empty sheet of paper. And if we go to the main menu of the document and we scroll down to the engraving mode and we turn it on, everything turns into black and white. So engraving mode basically means you only have two colors, the engraved color and the background color, and everything which is not white will be engraved. So white will not be engraved, but everything else will be engraved. One of the advantage here is that we have these two colors and we can easily adjust them. So let's say our main color will be gold and the background, let's leave it to that blackish thing here. These both colors are also appearing in the color list. So normally in engraving mode, we will remove all the not necessary colors, which I simply did by select all colors with Command A and then press backspace to remove all the other colors. So basically when I use a black text here, it now appears light. So that's all what we want. And the same we can do with images. So I have a couple of images prepared here. So let's take the skull. The skull is actually, as you see here, a black and white image. But since we are in engraving mode, we automatically get this skull inversed. Very important here is that it automatically turned on monochrome engraving for the images because we are in engraving mode. Normally it will be not turned on, so you need to turn it on, and then you can pick between a photo and a logo. Normally a logo means that the black parts will be engraved, whereby the white parts are not engraved. A photo is actually the opposite. We will talk about this. So select logo. It could be a logo or any kind of graphic basically. And if you do so, it looks pretty well. You can also set the contrast threshold here to adjust it that you see the right amount of details in your graphics here. But since this is basically a black and white graphic, it will actually be fine with 0.5 around that. The same thing happens to photos in a little bit different way. So when we go here and I place a photo of me and I put it in there, it automatically has set this again to engrave photos since we are in engraving mode. Otherwise you turn this on manually for each of the photos. Also, you need to turn it on in the group snippets. And now I can actually adjust the contrast that it fits. And this is exactly what our user will be able to do as well. So if I'm setting this photo to content editable and the text to content editable as well, and also maybe the position, rotation, it doesn't matter. You can use every of the features of Printess also in engraving mode. There is nothing different here. And you also can use group snippets. You even can use normal standard group snippets since every color will be automatically turned into black and white. So that's extremely handy. So if we go to the buyer side now, we of course can actually change the text here, and we can also upload an image. So once I picked another image, it gets uploaded. And as we see, we can still change as a user the contrast. So the user can actually adjust this photo to match, to look quite like they want it. It's pretty cool effect, by the way. Also photos get a special touch here, and it's extremely reliant because honestly none of the engraving process can really do grayscale. So we are on a safe way when we do it like this, because what the user will get delivered from you will definitely match what they have seen on screen. And also there is another button here which allows the user to invert the image, just in case he uploaded a logo or she uploaded a photo and the photo and the logo behave differently. So the user will be able to switch this. So that's basically all what we have to say to engraving. It's pretty much exactly the same like working with normal documents. So before we went on to the preview part, we need to produce this. So let's looks quite nice for the user, but it's actually not what needs to be engraved. To produce this, I will create another document. Let's call it production, and actually set this document to production. Now what I do is I place my design document on this, and you see it gets back, all the colors are back. Now we are actually looking at the final size of the output. So whatever your lighter is, let's say it's kind of 5.4 by, let's say 6.7 centimeters, we need to set this as a final size. And this is quite important what I'm doing right now here. It's a little bit too big. Normally that will fit, of course, to your preview. What I'm doing here is quite important because now I'm setting the final production size. What I'm not doing is I'm not using the final production size in my edit document, because when the document gets too small, the browser rendering gets a little bit too blurry. So it's a strong recommendation to make, even with engraving products, which tend to be very small, to make your edit document larger in size to get a better view, a better quality for your user. Please always do that. And it doesn't put any extra effort on you, because you anyhow need a production document to get the right output, because now this is colored again. That's not what we want. So what we will do is we have a couple of settings here. So first of all, we go again to engraving mode, we turn it on, but then we also turn on black and white. And depending if you have used effects like mask effects, opacity, blend modes, other effects, if you have used them, you can turn them all on here, which means they get turned off. So on means off, kind of weird. So we got no image mask, no opacity. So that's important if you do engraving documents where you use like burning on wood, where you have shadows and opacity to simulate the effect, so you can turn them all off, and you end up with a very simple black and white document here. So that's about the production piece. So now let's have a look at the preview, which I showed you in the beginning, and how we do that. So creating another document, calling it preview, and setting it to preview. In that case, I will make this document square, and I prepared two images. One image is, this is kindly actually handed over by a customer of us, Print Planet in Germany. And they were so kind to let us use this nice images to illustrate the way how this is done. So big thanks to them again. So I got two images. One is the lighter with actually everything engraved, and the other one is the image with the lighter how it looks if nothing is engraved. We will start with our preview document here to overlay it. So let me just place this in here. And now we are actually putting it in the same dimension. So we know that the image which we are using to draw has exactly the same dimensions than the image in the background. Again, we don't see the right mask or effect here. So what we will do is we again will go to the engraving mode. So we turn on the engraving mode, and we even can set it to black and white. And since this is kind of a production simulation, so now there's another interesting new filter, which is preview image draw. We can turn preview image draw on, and now we select the image with the lighter with the gold. So we get actually a preview draw of our document on that zipper. We need to invert it also, because otherwise we got the wrong preview of what we are actually expecting to do. So as you see, it doesn't really fit. So now a little bit the cumbersome part comes because you need to set the perspective right. To do so, I will show you a very handy trick. I go to my preview document here, and I'm actually making an area as large as the complete area, so that I 100% see what the user is later on able to design. So then I take another frame in here and make it a little bit with a small distance to the edge. I turn the stroke to white, so we see through the lighter in the back. So this should be I'll just make this a little bit bigger here. So that should be actually my helper here. So when I'm now going to the preview, it looks like this. So I click on the frame, I go to warp, shows the perspective effect, turn off snap to grid lines. And now we actually can see how this looks. So when I make this smaller, at a certain point my line is coming in here, and I'm able to adjust that in the right way. As I mentioned, it's a little bit tricky, but the point is that it's very important that the images are overlapping in the correct dimensions, and the lighter will be fine anyhow, look good for the user. So let me make this smaller. So we see now that the gray area is coming in. So we put the edges here. So that looks pretty good. Just a little over here. Okay, so when we leave that editor and go back to our document, we now can remove this helper frames, and when we go to preview, we pretty much see what I showed you in the beginning. So thanks for watching, have fun with Printess, and do a lot of awesome engraved products. Thank you very much.